Once when I was little, in that village where I was born, I dreamed that we could remake this world into paradise. In such a world, there would be no darkness, no ignorance, no brutality to man by another man. In such a world, there would be no inhumanity, no indignity, no poverty. In such a world, there would be mutual assistance, mutual cooperation, mutual love. This is the dream which has sustained me down the terrible years, and it is with me still, only it is more lucid now, more terrifying in vastness. I would like to give you a glimpse of this dream someday. Human rights are rights based on the inherent dignity of all human beings. They are the rights you have simply because you are human. We are all equally entitled to human rights, without discrimination, whatever nationality, ethnic origin, color of skin, sex, place of birth or residence, religion, language, or status in life. Human rights are universal. They apply to everyone, everywhere. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the most widely recognized expression of this belief in the world. It lists 30 articles which include the right to be born free and equal in dignity and rights, the right to life, liberty, and security of person, the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, the right to freedom of opinion and expression, the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. The Declaration articulates the understanding of human rights and human dignity shared by countries around the world. It was drafted by national representatives and adopted by the international community on December 10, 1948. But the Declaration is not legally binding. The expressions of these principles do not have the force of law. Nations have to work out for themselves how these rights can become reality. People have waged wars and revolutions. They have written and rewritten constitutions to enforce these rights. But still, many continue to fail. So how do nations uphold human rights? Let us go back to a time when there were no governments as we know them today, and the words human rights had yet to be uttered. People acquired rights only by membership in a group. But from time to time, there were rulers who sought to improve the conditions of the people. King Hammurabi of Babylon created a set of rules that outlined aspects of public life, including a health and justice system for everyone. This set of rules is known as the Code of Hammurabi. But the code was limited. Those who had power still had more rights than those who didn't. Persian ruler Cyrus the Great abolished slavery. He declared that absolutely everyone was free to choose their own culture and religion. These reforms were written in a clay tablet we now know as the Cyrus Cylinder. Some scholars say it was the first human rights charter in the world. In India, Emperor Ashoka also abolished slavery and death penalty. In China, Emperor Wang Mang briefly abolished slave trading. In Greece, human rights became synonymous with natural law. That is, human rights were natural and not just the effect of opinion. The idea of natural law spread to Rome. Roman thinkers argued that everyone was entitled to natural laws, whether they were Roman or not. Then, English philosopher Thomas Hobbes believed that natural law should translate into positive law. That means abstract laws should evolve concrete laws ratified by organized society. Those in power opposed the concept. Kings, emperors, and monarchs did not want society to limit their powers. Many monarchs believed these were theirs by divine rights. It took 1,000 years before a king would have the wisdom to agree. King John of England signed a document stating that no one, not even a king, can violate the rights of citizens. The Magna Carta of 1215 ushered human rights into a new world. But abuses by rulers remained. So the struggle continued. A wave of revolutions swept through different parts of the world. The English Revolution overthrew the established monarchy. They succeeded in creating the British Commonwealth, and the concept of civil liberties was born. The French also overthrew their monarchy. They defined individual and collective rights and declared them universal. At the end of the American Revolution, the Constitution of the United States of America enshrined the Bill of Rights. The French and American revolutions had profound effect on the world. They inspired the slave revolts in Europe and Africa. They also helped spark the wars of independence in Latin America and Asia, including the Philippine Revolution against Spain. The opening of the Suez Canal in 1869 eased travel between Asia and Europe. When the elite or ilustrados of the Philippines studied in Spain, they caught the fever of new ideas sweeping through the continent: liberty, equality, fraternity. Filipino revolutionaries drew on the force of these principles to support the struggle against the colonial rule of Spain and assert their right to self-determination. Jose Rizal's Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo shaped not only the national and political consciousness in the Philippines, but throughout Southeast Asia. The revolutionary literature inspired the other regions in Asia where people were subjugated by foreign conquerors. Other colonized countries of Asia asserted their freedom. In China, Sun Yat-sen played a key role in the overthrow of the Qing dynasty, and he fought against the warlords that controlled much of the nation. In India, Mahatma Gandhi, a much-loved political and spiritual leader, led the struggle for freedom of the Indian people from the colonial rule of the British. Together, Rizal, Sun Yat-sen, and Gandhi helped inspire the anti-colonialism movement that swept through Asia. Slaves and colonies asserted their right to determine their national destiny. Finally, the West had to listen and heed the voices calling for freedom. It has not been a peaceful nor an easy transition. It took 2 world wars to bring the agenda of human rights onto the global stage. In short, the history of human rights is a history of thousands of years of revolution. Today, the challenge continues to confront societies all around the world. Let us look again at the Philippines, the first country to become a sovereign republic among the colonized countries in Asia. It suffered war and occupation, submitted to a martial law and a long-standing dictatorship. The People Power Uprising in February 1986 toppled the Marcos authoritarian government. That same year, the new government established the Philippine Commission on Human Rights, a body mandated to safeguard and help prevent violations of human rights. The Philippine CHR was the first national human rights institution to be formed in Asia, created by no less than the 1987 Constitution. Taking its place once again in the global family of democracies, the country made history when it adopted in 1987 the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, making the declaration part of national law. Every Filipino is possessed of these rights, which are protected by law. They have a right to learning and education. to live in peace and without fear, to be represented in government, to play freely and to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Are human rights upheld in the Philippines? The human factor, the greed for wealth and power, overtakes laws and constitutions and leads to violations and abuse of human rights. If we have freedom of speech and expression, why is the Philippines one of the most dangerous places for journalists? If we have the right to peaceful assembly, why are demonstrations met by police brutality? If we have the right to education, why are millions out of school? If we have the right to political participation, why are people persecuted for their beliefs? While the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is enshrined in law, human rights have not always been translated to reality. Human rights need to be expressed, not just in documents. These must be written in the hearts of all men and women. It will take long, and the path will be fraught with conflict and with pain. No one man or woman, no president by his or her own desire or courage or fortitude alone can assure the continuing protection of human rights. All must have the conviction and courage to protect human rights not only for the sake of one, but for the good of all. So it has been through human history. So it must be as we face the future. Each one of us must be ready to take the challenge, to face whenever and wherever those who would cast these rights in peril. Only then can human rights become a living, everyday reality.